Howdy folks, thanks for tuning in. Back with another free flat picking lesson today on the YouTube channel. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about how to choose licks. And specifically we're going to be talking about bluegrass vocal tunes. And I'm going to use examples that pertain to the beginning of your solo. The examples will be on that to start with, but the concepts will be there so that you can apply them to the rest of the tune. You can apply this to fiddle tunes as well, but the beginning of the song is a good way to illustrate the idea I'm going to be talking about today. So let's say that you've been working with flat picking for a little while. You've played some scale shapes, or you've got some licks that you play pretty frequently, and you know how to stay in chord. You know how to play the right stuff at the right time based on following the chord progression. But you want to figure out how to choose your licks and phrases a little bit more carefully and kind of base things off of the melody a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is start out with 3 licks that you could use at the top of the solo to get into it. And I'm calling these licks, but they're not really big statement hot licks necessarily. They're sort of almost like stock phrases that you can use to get the ball rolling and then take off from there, or stay close to the melody, or whatever is appropriate at the time. So I'm going to show you the licks first and then separate them into different scenarios. So here's the first one. That's kind of a Tony Rice kickoff, roughly speaking. So that's mostly alternate picking, and you got to adjust for a slide there toward the end. So I'm playing down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 down. So toward the end there, the phrase, there's a slide that robs you of a pick stroke. Down, down, and then the phrasing opens up, so you keep playing down strokes. Alright, so that's the first one. I'll play it slow one more time. So that starts on your open G, second to open on the D, second on the A, open D, open G, open D again, slide from 4th to 5th on the D, play your open G, closed G, that 5th fret on the D, and alternate back and forth between those two. Alright, so that's the first lick. The next one we're going to do is, alright, play that a little slower. So that one is down, down, up, down, down. And the reason that's not just straight up alternate picking is because of the phrasing. There's some rests in there that you got to wait on. Down, down, up, down, down. So that's open D, play it again, 2nd fret on the D, open G, and then slide from 2nd to 4th on the G. Alright, and then the last lick sounds like that. And I think that's alternate all the way through, right? Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Yep. So start and end on a down with that one and alternate all the way through. Open D, 2nd on the D, open G, 2nd on the G, open B, open G, slide from 1st to 3rd on the B using your index finger. Play that one more time without talking over it. Okay, so there's are our 3 licks that we're going to use and apply to different scenarios. So I'm going to take 3 different bluegrass vocal standards, and I'm going to examine the beginning of the vocal melody using the number system. So let's look at the 9-pound hammer. If I sing the very beginning of that, well, a 9-pound hammer, and I break down that melody using the number system, that starts out on a 5. 5, 5, 5, 6, 1, 1. So what I get from that when I'm analyzing it, the way I think about playing over vocal melodies, is that there's some intro notes there, but the most important thing in my mind is that that first phrase ends up on that root note, that 1. Now if you go back to those licks I set up at the beginning of the video, each one of those licks winds up on one of the 3 triad notes in the key of G. The first lick ends up droning on that G note, so that lick ends on the 1. The next lick I did slides into this B note, that's the 3 of the key of G, so that lick ends on the 3. And then this one slides into a D note on the B string, so that lick ends on the 5. So since the melody on 9 Pound Hammer, that phrase ends up on a 1, well, a 9 pound hammer, well, a 9 pound 1, I'm going to choose the lick that winds up on the 1. And that's going to set me up really well at the beginning of that solo. Sounds like it's close to the melody, but it's not 100% literal. And that's kind of the problem. You can't be 100% literal a lot of times with bluegrass vocal melodies on guitar, because it's going to sound sparse. The difference in sustain and phrasing and stuff, you can't translate 100% accurately from vocals to guitar. That sounds okay, but it's going to sound a little bit sparse. But this is like guitar vocabulary that communicates the same thing in an appropriate way. Now let's look at the next example. The next one that came to mind for me was Your Love Is Like a Flower. And that one starts out like this. It was long, long ago. So roughly speaking, that melody goes. So the very beginning of that was 6, 1, and then it gets up to 3. You can slide or you can play it really plain. It was long. So we're winding up on the 3 there. I'm going to go back to those licks that we set up at the beginning and use that one to kick that solo off. Same explanation as before. It's guitar vocabulary that gets you to the same place that you would be in the vocals. And then let's finish off with Sunny Side of the Mountain. This song does not beat around the bush and get straight to the 5. So, now don't forget me. So it just starts off on a D note if you're singing in the key of G. So it starts off right on the 5. And if you played that on guitar, it would sound really plain. So I'm going to throw some guitar vocabulary on it. And then I can head off from there. So let me play that a little slower. So the takeaway from this lesson is look at the licks you have that you play already. And if you haven't done this yet, take those licks that you're used to playing and break them down in terms of the number system. That'll give you the ideas about how to break them down like I just did and choose which ones to play on which songs, and you can use them to flow through the rest of the melody. You can kind of break down the rest of the vocal melody phrase by phrase like that, and you don't have to be 100% literal. Just choose things that stay close enough but that sound way more fleshed out and full on guitar, and travel through the solo that way. So you can use that to stay close to the melody, and then even if you're trying to improvise and go a little bit further away from the melody, you might want to use the melody as a jumping off point. So these licks staying close to the melody notes can still help you get started, and then you can take off from there. So anyway, that's kind of a quick lesson. It's a simple concept, but you can use it on a million bluegrass tunes, and I hope that's helpful to you. If you want to learn more about this, go through a whole solo, have me help you break down entire songs. I teach over Skype full time, one-on-one lessons. I do guitar, of course, and I also do mandolin, dobro, and bass, and I can do electric guitar if you're interested in that. So shoot me a message on any of my social media. You can email me at zeb@snyderfamilyband.com. All that will be in the description. And thank y'all for watching. We'll see you on down the road.